Hey guys, welcome to the Magfed Ranch Paintball channel, and today I'm going to be doing a T15 magazine versus the M17 magazine video. But before I get into it guys, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, share, and comment. Alright guys, I wanted to give you guys this video to give you guys kind of the pros and cons of each one of these markers magazines. And specifically the two, main option sizes that you can get for these markers, right? So for the T15, the two, most popular magazine sizes, guys, is going to be their 19 round first strike magazines, and of course their 11 round first strike magazines, guys. Go check out that video, guys, where I, obviously prove once and for all how many first strikes each one of these magazines hold. But yes, these are 19 and 11 rounds specifically. And then of course the M17 magazines, you have the Grizzin G-Mag. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if it's Grizzin or Grizzin, but it's their 11 round magazine as well. And of course the 18 round normal magazine for the M17. Okay guys? So, which one from the two magazines are going to be the most reliable? I think that is kind of what everybody wants to know, right? Is which magazine system is going to be the most reliable out there? Okay, guys? And so, drum roll, please. And from my testing, from my experience, and of course, guys, if you guys have your own experience out there, please comment and share. That'll definitely help everyone else out in the community in terms of what your guys' own personal result is. But from my thousands of shooting with FS rounds through these magazines, I will tell you that the number one reliable magazine is going to be the M17 18 round magazines out of these four. Okay. Number two on the list is going to be the 19 round T15 magazines. Number three on this list is going to be the 11 round T15 first strike magazines. And of course, last place, unfortunately, is the Grizzin 11 round first strike magazines. Okay guys, so let's kind of go over some of the basics features of the magazines and why one particular magazine is more reliable than the other, guys. The primary problem that I've seen, and I think a lot of companies out there that design first strike capable markers will probably attest to and probably confirm this statement with me, is flips. Okay, and it's going to be something either in the magazine or in obviously the chamber of the marker that is going to cause this flip. But like I said, it's primarily the magazine, guys. And like I said, once again, guys, it's really interesting how our magazine fed markers follow very similar kind of things with real steel firearms, right? Most of the real steel firearms that have terrible reviews or have terrible problems, it's usually because they have terrible magazines, right? Or, someone, tried to use some cheap magazines with their firearms and it just doesn't work well, right? So magazine is the key, okay? And so why the 18 round magazine is the most reliable is primarily one thing. It's where the square head, adapter that goes into the M17 marker receiver. It's very smooth. There's no lines, there's no ridges, guys, in that opening. Once the detent, which is literally a bar and a spring, is like literally a crossbar and spring, is obviously depressed by the markers, the marker receiver. And then of course the follower on the magazine, right? The follower on the spring of the magazine pushes the first strike round up. But anything within that little square collar and chamber, there's nothing for the first strike round to catch on. Whether that's the front of the first strike round or the rear of the first strike round. There's no line in here. There's no groove in here. It's literally just a smooth, straight shot. Nothing's going to catch the FS round and cause it to flip in the marker. Now, of course, guys, this is what I'm about to say is going to be true of all the different, all these magazines, and I'm sure all the other different markers magazines as well too. Is obviously if your magazines are dirty, and for whatever reason you had a break in here, if you got dirt in there, just whatever, right, is in the way that could cause it to catch the first strike round, and that will cause it to flip. Therein lies the problem, right? So you gotta ensure that your magazines are, super clean. This is also the reason why I always tell you guys to have extra magazines, right? Because it's better just to play with a newer magazine instead of having to, in a clean magazine, instead of having to stop your gameplay. And then obviously, when you have some downtime and you're ready to take a break from playing, or of course when you get home, then you can clean out your magazines flawlessly again and ensure that they're going to function properly again. Okay, guys? Now, the winding tension and the spring tension, I haven't really seen a less reliable or more reliable, compared to the M17 or the T15 guys. The spring pressure seems to be very similar. I will say that the T15 magazine feels a tad bit stiffer, but once again, the first strike rounds, the shell, even though they're brittle, of course, and designed to break, they are a little bit harder than your standard paintball round. So that spring tension isn't going to, to break it. Okay, guys. So don't be worried that the T15 spring tension is a little bit stiffer. Through, like I said, my thousands and thousands of rounds that I've shot, I haven't seen it, cause the first strike round to crack. Okay, and it's not by much, guys. It's noticeable, but like I said, they're both fairly stiff. You actually want a decent stiff spring pressure because obviously, you want to have enough pressure to be able to push all the first strike rounds through the magazine and up into the receiver chamber. Okay, guys. And so, real quick, since I have a first strike right on for you guys, you can just see that as as nice as they make the rounds, there's a lot of kind of sharp edges on the front of the marker, on the round. It's probably, my guess is it's probably, kind of their manufacturing process that creates kind of like this circle with an edge on the front of the round. That's probably how they fill, like it's probably where they fill it, and then of course they seal it. And that seal just kind of causes this edge, okay? And then of course the back of the round is obviously where they add the, the flight stabilizer, little ring, the spinning ring. And of course it has the fins on it, and those fins are fairly sharp and straight. And so those things can catch on anything that's going to be obviously, protruding or sticking out inside the magazine, guys. So like I said, there's a lot of small little edges here on the first strike round that can get caught in the magazine if it's not 100% smooth. And so like I said, the M17 mags in my testing has been the most reliable because there's nothing to really catch the edges on the first strike rounds. Okay, guys? I can demonstrate that for you guys right now. Once the round drops in, you can see that it literally just drops right in. And if I hit the button, see how it just comes right out? It pretty much, nothing catches the rounds. So it just, flows smoothly. The problem with the T15 magazine, and like I said, it's still fairly reliable, guys. It's just like, the thousands of rounds I shot, I guess I got to do a test for you guys one of these days, but that's going to be, a lot of first strike rounds to go through. But I would say, one in what? Shoot, 1 in 10 mags. If I'm just shooting and I'm not getting the magazines dirty, I might get a problem with the, the 19 round magazines. The problem with the T15 magazines, guys, it's not the spring, it's not the winding mechanism, it's the trap door because they have a little sliding trap door here versus the little crossbar on the M17 magazine. And that problem with that trap door is that if it doesn't get pushed back all the way in when you know you insert the magazine into your marker, that trap door can catch the rear of the first strike round, and of course that's going to cause it to flip nose up, right? And so obviously if you guys inspect your marker after a non-shot and you see that the tail, you know, if you flip your gun, your marker upside down and you see the tail of the first strike round facing you, that's most likely what happened, right? It caught that trap door and it caused the first strike round to flip, you know, front side upwards, okay? Now, there's another edge on the front of the T15 magazine because there's like a metal kind of like, I guess, strengthening plate, or it holds the two, you know, because these magazines are separated in two pieces, guys, but they have like kind of like this metal top clamp that kind of secures the two pieces together, and also, you know, just adds rigidity and just kind of strength to the marker. But the front edge of it has kind of a small lip. You can kind of feel it when you know, slide your fingers in inside the magazine. So whether that's the trap door in the back or that little metal lip in the front, either one of those edges can cause it to flip, okay guys? And so I'll demonstrate that here for you. I got the, you know, round in here. That trap door is pushed back as far as I can with my my finger, and then as I go to, okay, so that time it came out smooth, okay guys? But like I said, most of the time, I would say more than 90% of the time, it's gonna come out smooth. But for whatever reason, if it just catches ever so slightly, and I'll kind of demonstrate it here, but if it catches the back of the trap door, you see how it just kind of flipped. I don't know if you guys caught it there, but it flipped around upwards, okay? And the same thing, of course, if it catches the front of the magazine, it's going to flip the tail end upwards, okay guys? So that's kind of where the T15 loses out to the M17 in terms of reliability. Now, why the T15 11 round mag unfortunately is a little bit less reliable than the 19 round mag, it's because the spring pressure is roughly the same tension, my guess is. And so what happens is the spring pressure, it just pushes lots of pressure under tension, and then like I said, it kind of forces the round to kind of tilt as it's being pushed up. But once again, it's primarily just the fact that that trap door and then of course that front edge lip can catch the round. What I've just noticed though is because it has such high spring pressure, it kind of moves. I don't know if you guys can see that in the video, but under that spring tension, the round kind of flips just slightly in the magazine. It's just kind of tilted either up slightly or down slightly. Usually it's up, okay guys? And I think what the first strike can do is the follower, guys. The follower that's on the end of the spring. They're using just a round-shaped ball as a follower, and I think that's for, obviously, you know, normal paintballs, right? And of course, they've deemed it usable enough for first strike rounds. But if you notice the follower on the M17 mag, it actually follows the kind of the spherical shape of the first strike round. And so when it's sitting inside the magazine, it's literally just sitting straight up and down. And so it's just kind of like I said, the dimensions, the cutout, there's no edges. The first strike round just sits a lot straighter and then comes out a lot smoother on the M17 mag. Okay, guys? Now, then that begs the question, well, why isn't the Grisen 11 round magazine as reliable as the normal M17 magazine? And guys, the reason for that is not because of the design. It's not because of it's not a winding spring, right? Because the Horizon 11 round magazine, there's no winding feature. It's literally just a manual load magazine. So you just literally just load the magazines. It's honestly because they don't use the same quality of materials. I don't know if it's the quality, guys. Here, let me further explain it. The surface of the magazine is a lot rougher than the M17 factory magazine. The M17 factory magazine is really smooth inside, whereas if you feel the surface on the Horizon magazine, it's kind of rough. It's kind of textured. And so that texturing will catch on the sharp edges of the first strike rounds, okay? And then also the dimensions of the magazine is not as forgiving as the normal M17 magazine. I noticed that the dimensions is just slightly tighter, and so the round just is a little more squeezed inside the magazine, and then just not as smooth. So you see here, you know, this round right now, I'm literally just pushing it in and out. It should come out, but it's getting caught on something. Now, what I've noticed is, in practice on a table, it will do this quite often. In the marker, it doesn't do it as much because the marker depresses the crossbar safety a lot more than your fingers can. But at the end of the day, okay, it finally came out. It's still catching. It's still catching on the FS round, and so that's why the Horizon mags have so many issues compared to the other three mags. Okay, guys. So yeah, guys. So M17 magazines versus T15 magazines. M17 normal mag is the winner, but not by much. But it is the clear winner. T15 19 round standard mag is next. T15 11 round magazine is third, and of course the Horizon 11 round magazine is last. Now, one last thing, a tip that you guys can do to make this magazine more reliable is you can obviously disassemble the magazine, guys, and go check out. I might make a video on it if you guys request, but there's videos out there of how to disassemble this magazine. But I would go in there with like a very soft sandpaper, very fine grit sandpaper, and just smooth all the surfaces inside here, guys. I think if you do that, it'll make these magazines, you know, just as reliable as the 18 rounders. And then the cool thing about this is that they share the same follower, and so the first strike magazine round sits in there, you know, without having to cock or tilt because of the ball style follower. Okay, guys. All right, guys. If you guys like that video, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button. Check you guys next time. Peace.